Tasha Brooks stood frozen outside the penthouse door, her hand raised to knock, when she heard Julian Cross's voice drift through the expensive wood. "Mom, Dad, I want you to meet someone very special. This is my girlfriend." Her heart stopped. Girlfriend? Her mind raced back 3 hours to when her boss had casually mentioned dinner at his place to discuss the quarterly marketing reports. Nothing about parents. Nothing about being his girlfriend. She'd worn her nicest work dress, a simple royal blue sheath that she'd bought on sale, and carried the folder with all her presentation materials. This was supposed to be about work. The door swung open before she could run. Julian stood there, impossibly handsome in dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, his brown eyes meeting hers with an expression she couldn't quite read. Behind him, she could see an elegant older couple turning toward the entrance with warm, expectant smiles. "Tasha," Julian said smoothly, reaching for her hand. "I'm so glad you made it." She should have turned around. Should have demanded an explanation. Should have done anything except stand there while her boss guided her into his penthouse and introduced her to Richard and Patricia Cross as the woman he'd been dating for months. But the medical bills sitting on her kitchen counter flashed through her mind. Tyler's last round of chemotherapy. The second job she just started waitressing on weekends. The student loans that never seemed to get smaller no matter how much she paid. So instead of running, Tasha Brooks smiled at the elegant older couple and shook their hands, stepping into a lie that would change everything. The penthouse was beautiful in a way that made her small apartment seem even smaller in her memory. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, and the furniture looked like it belonged in a magazine. Patricia Cross, a striking woman with silver hair styled in a perfect bob, wore a cream-colored pantsuit that probably cost more than Tasha's monthly rent. Richard Cross, tall and distinguished with the same brown eyes as his son, had a warm smile that put her slightly at ease. "Julian has told us so much about you," Patricia said, taking both of Tasha's hands in hers. "We've been begging to meet you for weeks now." "I hope he said good things," Tasha managed, her voice steadier than she felt. "All wonderful things," Richard assured her. "Please sit down. We're just about to have dinner." The dining table could have seated 12, but they sat close together at one end. A chef appeared from the kitchen with the first course, some kind of soup that Tasha was too nervous to really taste. She kept glancing at Julian, trying to understand what was happening, but he seemed perfectly calm, asking his parents about their recent trip to France and including her in the conversation as if this was all completely normal. "So Tasha, Julian mentioned you work in marketing at Cross Industries," Patricia said. "How did you two meet?" Before Tasha could figure out how to answer, Julian reached over and placed his hand over hers on the table. The gesture was gentle, but she felt the slight pressure, a silent plea. "At work," Julian said. "Tasha joined the marketing team about 2 years ago. I noticed her immediately. She had this presentation about rebranding our community outreach programs that was brilliant. After the meeting, I couldn't stop thinking about her." The lie came so easily from him that for a moment, Tasha almost believed it herself. But she remembered that presentation. She'd been terrified, barely 6 months into her job, and Julian Cross had been the intimidating CEO who'd sat at the head of the conference table, asking sharp questions that had made her stutter. He'd approved the project, but she hadn't thought he'd noticed her at all. "That's lovely," Patricia said, her eyes soft. "Richard and I met at work too. He was my boss actually." "Really?" Tasha asked, genuinely surprised. Richard laughed. "It's true. She was my secretary and I was completely useless without her. Took me 6 months to work up the courage to ask her to dinner. And another 3 months before I said yes," Patricia added with a smile. "I wanted to make sure he was serious." The conversation flowed more easily after that. Patricia asked about Tasha's family, and she found herself talking about Tyler, her 22-year-old brother who was fighting leukemia. She didn't mention the crushing debt or how she'd been working 2 jobs to help their mother with the bills. She didn't mention how scared she was every single day that they'd lose him. But something in Julian's expression changed when she talked about Tyler. His hand tightened slightly on hers, and when she met his eyes, she saw something there that looked almost like understanding. Dinner progressed through 4 more courses, each more elaborate than the last. Richard told stories about building Cross Industries from a small investment firm into the empire it was today. Patricia talked about her charity work with children's hospitals. And Julian, to Tasha's surprise, was different than the focused, intense CEO she knew from the office. He was relaxed, laughing at his father's jokes, teasing his mother gently about her tendency to adopt every cause she encountered. "So when are we going to see you two again?" Patricia asked as dessert was served, some kind of chocolate creation that looked too beautiful to eat. Richard and I are only in town for another week before we head back to Florida. We should definitely get together again before you leave, Julian said. Maybe brunch on Sunday? Tasha nearly choked on her water. Sunday was 3 days away. How long was this supposed to continue? That sounds perfect, Patricia said. I'd love to spend more time getting to know Tasha. After dinner, Richard and Patricia said their goodbyes, pulling Tasha into warm hugs that felt genuine and kind. Patricia whispered in her ear, "Thank you for making my son smile like this. We've been so worried about him." When they were finally alone, the door closing behind his parents, Tasha turned to Julian. "What was that?" she asked, keeping her voice level despite the anger and confusion swirling inside her. "You told me this was a work dinner." "I know," Julian said, running a hand through his dark hair. "I'm sorry. I should have told you the truth." "Which is?" He walked to the windows looking out at the city lights below. "My parents have been pressuring me about settling down for years. Every time they visit, it's the same conversation. Why am I still single? When am I going to give them grandchildren? They worry that I'm too focused on work, that I'm going to end up alone. So you decided to lie to them? To use me?" "No," he turned to face her, and she was struck by how sincere he looked. "Not like that. 3 weeks ago, my mother called and said they were coming to visit. She made this comment about how she wished I could find someone like this woman at work I'd mentioned. Someone dedicated and smart and kind. I realized she was talking about you." "You talked to your mother about me?" "I talk to my mother about work sometimes," Julian said. "And you came up. The community outreach program you designed helped a lot of families. I was proud of the work our team did, proud of what you accomplished." She heard something in my voice, I guess. Tasha sat down on the white leather couch, her mind spinning. "This is crazy. You can't just tell your parents I'm your girlfriend when I'm not." "I know." Julian sat across from her in one of the matching chairs. "And I'm sorry for putting you in that position. But when I opened the door and saw you standing there, and I heard how happy my mother sounded, I couldn't bring myself to disappoint her. So what happens now? What happens when they find out the truth?" Julian was quiet for a long moment. Then he leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "What if it didn't have to be a lie?" he asked quietly. "What? What if we actually tried this? Dating, I mean. Really dating?" Tasha stared at him. "You're serious?" "I am," he said. "Look, I know this is completely backwards. I know I should have asked you properly, should have done things the right way. But tonight, watching you with my parents, seeing how kind you were even though I put you in an impossible situation, I kept thinking about what my mother said. About finding someone like you. Julian, I work for you. This is inappropriate on so many levels." "Then I'll transfer your department to report to someone else," he said immediately. "That's easily fixed. Tasha, I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm asking if you'd be willing to let this be real." She should say no. Every logical part of her brain screamed that this was a terrible idea. But then she thought about Tyler, about the stack of medical bills, about her mother's tired voice on the phone last week saying they might need to delay the next round of treatment because the insurance wouldn't cover it all. "I can't," she whispered. "I have too much going on right now. My brother, the medical bills. I can't afford to lose my job if this goes wrong." Julian stood and moved to sit beside her on the couch, maintaining a respectful distance. "What if I helped with that?" "With what?" "The medical bills. The treatment. All of it." Tasha's eyes snapped to his. "No. Absolutely not." "Why not?" "Because that would make this even worse," she said. "That would make me someone who dates their boss for money. Or it would make you someone who lets someone who cares help her family," Julian said gently. "Tasha, I've watched you for 2 years. I've seen you fall asleep at your desk because you were working a double shift at the diner after a full day here. I've seen the anxiety in your eyes when you check your phone, and I know it's probably another bill or a call from the hospital. Let me help. We barely know each other." "Then let's change that," he said. "Real dates. Getting to know each other properly. No pressure, no expectations. If it doesn't work out, we part as friends and I still help with Tyler's treatment because it's the right thing to do. But if it does work out..." He paused. "I think it might, Tasha. I really do." She looked at him, really looked at him. Julian Cross, Billionaire CEO, could have anyone. Why would he want this, want her, want something real that started with a lie? But there was something in his eyes that made her believe him. And the thought of Tyler getting the treatment he needed without her mother crying over bills, without her working herself to exhaustion, was too powerful to ignore. Okay, she heard herself say. Okay. Julian's face broke into a genuine smile. Yeah. But we do this right, she said firmly. Real dates. Getting to know each other. And you help Tyler not because we're dating but because you're a good person who can and wants to help. I need to keep those things separate in my head. Deal? He said, extending his hand. She shook it, and then they both laughed at the absurdity of shaking hands to seal a dating agreement. So, Julian said, what are you doing tomorrow night? Working at the diner from 6 to 11. Not anymore. I'm taking you to dinner. A real first date. Julian? You agreed to real dates, he reminded her. That means I get to take you out properly. Besides, the diner can survive one night without you. Tasha found herself smiling despite everything. Fine. But nowhere too fancy. I don't own fancy clothes. Then we'll go somewhere comfortable, he said. There's this little Italian place in Brooklyn that makes the best pasta you've ever had. Very casual, very delicious. That sounds perfect. He walked her to the door and before she left, he touched her arm gently. Thank you, Tasha. For tonight, for agreeing to try this. I promise I'll make sure Tyler gets the best care possible. Starting tomorrow, I'll have my assistant contact the hospital to arrange everything. You don't have to do that so quickly. I want to, he said simply. Let me do this. Please. And because kindness and hope were leading her now, because the love she had for her brother was stronger than her pride, Tasha nodded. Thank you, she whispered. No, Julian said softly. Thank you. As Tasha rode the subway home that night, her phone buzzed with a text from Julian. Just 3 words, sleep well, girlfriend. Despite everything, despite the confusion and the impossibility of it all, Tasha smiled. Maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. Have you ever had a moment that changed your entire life in an instant? What would you do if someone offered to help your family when you needed it most? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and please subscribe to follow Tasha and Julian's journey. Will this unconventional beginning turn into something real, or is she making the biggest mistake of her life? The next morning, Tasha woke up convinced the entire evening had been some kind of stress-induced dream. But her phone had 3 new messages from Julian, the first confirming their dinner reservation, the second asking for her brother's doctor's information, and the third simply saying good morning. She sat on her bed in her tiny apartment, staring at the messages. This was really happening. Julian Cross, her boss, the billionaire CEO, wanted to date her. And he was going to help Tyler. Her phone rang. Tyler. Hey sis, his voice was weak but happy. Did you know someone from Cross Industries called the hospital this morning? They said they're setting up a payment plan for my treatment. Mom's crying. Happy crying. What did you do? Tasha closed her eyes, gratitude flooding through her. I met someone who wants to help. Who? It's complicated. I'll explain later. How are you feeling? Better now that Mom isn't stressed about money? Tasha, seriously, what happened? Something good, she said softly. I think something really good. At work, things felt different. Julian had sent an email to the senior management team announcing that the marketing department would now report directly to the COO instead of him, citing a need to restructure for efficiency. No one questioned it. By lunch, Tasha's direct supervisor had changed and technically Julian was no longer her boss. He'd actually done it. He'd removed the professional conflict just like he said he would. At 3 o'clock, his assistant, Beverly, appeared at Tasha's desk with a garment bag. Mr. Cross asked me to bring this, Beverly said with a knowing smile. The older woman had been with the company for 20 years and seemed genuinely pleased. He said you mentioned not having fancy clothes, so he took the liberty. If it doesn't fit or you don't like it, I have 3 more options in the car. Tasha unzipped the bag in the bathroom to find a beautiful deep green dress, simple and elegant. The price tag was still attached. She gasped at the number and immediately zipped it back up. She marched to Julian's office, garment bag in hand. His secretary waved her through. You can't buy me dresses, Tasha said, closing the door behind her. Julian looked up from his computer, not at all surprised by her entrance. I can't. No. That's not how this works. How it works. Real dating. Normal dating. You don't buy someone a dress before the first date. Julian leaned back in his chair, a slight smile playing at his lips. What if I really want you to have it? What if I saw it this morning and thought it would look beautiful on you? Then you should have told me where you saw it so I could go look at it myself and probably not buy it because I can't afford $3,000 dresses. $3,500 actually. Julian. He stood and walked around his desk. Tasha, I understand you want to keep things normal. But part of my world includes events and dinners where certain dress codes apply. If we're really doing this, if we're really dating, there will be times when I'll need you to attend things with me. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable or underdressed. So yes, sometimes I'm going to buy you nice things. Not because I'm trying to buy you, but because I want you to feel confident beside me. She wavered. Put that way, it made more sense. This feels like a lot. It is a lot, he agreed. But you already agreed to try. So try. Wear the dress tonight. If you hate it, you never have to wear it again. But I think you'll look stunning. Tasha sighed. You're very persuasive. It's why I'm good at my job, he said with a grin. Now go. We have reservations at 7 and I'm picking you up at 6:30. The dress fit perfectly. Tasha stared at herself in her apartment mirror, barely recognizing the woman looking back. The deep green brought out the warmth in her brown skin, and the cut was elegant without being too revealing. She'd paired it with her nicest shoes, simple black heels she'd bought for job interviews, and kept her makeup natural. When Julian knocked on her door at exactly 6:30, his expression when she opened it made all her protests about the dress fade away. Wow, he said simply. The dress is nice, she admitted. The dress is beautiful. You're stunning. He wore dark slacks and a charcoal gray shirt, no tie, casual but clearly expensive. He offered his arm and she took it, letting him lead her to the black car waiting at the curb. The restaurant in Brooklyn was exactly as he described, small and cozy with checkered tablecloths and the smell of garlic and tomatoes filling the air. The owner, a large Italian man named Enzo, greeted Julian like an old friend. You bring a beautiful lady finally, Enzo said, beaming at Tasha. I tell him every time, Julian, you work too much. Now I see why you work so hard. To impress such a woman. Tasha laughed as Enzo seated them at a corner table. Do you come here often? Once a month or so, Julian said. My father brought me here when I was a kid. It's one of the few places where I can just be Julian, not the CEO of Cross Industries. I like this side of you. Which side? The relaxed side. At work you're always so focused and intense. I have to be, he said. There are 5,000 employees depending on me to make good decisions. But here with you I can just be myself. The food was incredible. They shared pasta and wine and the conversation flowed easily. Julian asked about her childhood and she told him about growing up in Queens, about her father who died when she was 15, about how close she and Tyler had always been. He's the reason I work so hard, she said. Everything I do is for him and my mom. That's beautiful, Julian said. Family should come first. What about your family? What's it really like being a Cross? He smiled. My parents are probably the most normal wealthy people you'll ever meet. My dad started the company in his 20s with a small loan and a lot of luck. He never forgot where he came from. And my mom, she's dedicated her life to helping others. They raised me to understand that money is a tool, not a goal. That's why you're helping Tyler. That's why I'm helping Tyler, he confirmed. Because I can and it's the right thing to do. After dinner, they walked along the Brooklyn waterfront. The city lights reflected on the water, and the spring air was cool but pleasant. I have to ask, Tasha said. Why did you really introduce me to your parents as your girlfriend? There has to be more to it than just wanting them to stop worrying. Julian was quiet for a moment. Honestly? When I saw you at my door last night, right before I opened it, I was listening to my parents talk about how they wanted me to find someone real. Someone who understood what it meant to work hard, to care about people, to have substance. And I realized that's exactly who you are. It wasn't a lie I planned. It was a truth I wanted to be real. That's quite possibly the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. Is it working? She laughed. Maybe. He drove her home, walking her to her apartment door like a proper gentleman. Thank you for tonight, Tasha said. For the dress, for dinner, for everything with Tyler. Thank you for saying yes, Julian replied. For giving this a chance. There was a moment where she thought he might kiss her, but instead he just squeezed her hand gently. Brunch with my parents on Sunday, he reminded her. I'll pick you up at 10. I'll be ready. That Sunday, Tasha wore another dress from the garment bag, this one a soft yellow that Beverly had insisted she keep. Patricia Cross opened the door to their hotel suite with a warm hug. Tasha, darling, come in. We've ordered enough food to feed an army. The brunch was set up on the suite's balcony overlooking Central Park. Richard was reading the newspaper but set it aside when they arrived. There's my favorite couple, he said, standing to hug them both. The next few hours were filled with easy conversation and laughter. Patricia told stories about Julian as a child, much to his embarrassment. He was such a serious little boy, she said. Always reading, always asking questions. We worried he didn't know how to have fun. I had fun, Julian protested. You had spreadsheets, Richard countered. Even your lemonade stand had a business plan. Tasha couldn't stop laughing. That's actually adorable. Don't encourage them, Julian said, but he was smiling. Patricia turned to Tasha. Tell me about your family, dear. Julian mentioned your brother is ill? Tasha's smile faded slightly. Yes, Tyler has leukemia. He's been fighting it for 8 months now. Oh, sweetheart. Patricia reached across the table to take her hand. That must be so difficult. It has been. But he's strong and the treatment is helping. She glanced at Julian. We've been very fortunate with help. Patricia looked between them, understanding dawning in her eyes. Julian, you're helping with the treatment. Mom? That's my boy, Richard said proudly. That's exactly what I would have done. I wanted to help, Julian said simply. Tasha's family is important to her, which makes them important to me. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. You raised him right, she said to Richard. Then to Tasha, you're good for him. I can see it already. After brunch, Richard suggested they all go for a walk in the park. Tasha found herself walking with Patricia while Julian and Richard talked business a few steps ahead. Can I be honest with you? Patricia asked. Of course. We've been worried about Julian for years. He's so focused on work, on building the company, on proving himself. I think he forgot to build a life. But watching him with you, I see something different. He's happy. We've only been dating a short time, Tasha said carefully. Sometimes you just know, Patricia said with a smile. I knew with Richard after one dinner. The length of time doesn't matter when it's right. What if it's complicated? All the best things are, Patricia said. The question is, are you willing to work through the complications? Tasha thought about Tyler's smile when she'd visited him at the hospital yesterday, how the stress had left her mother's face for the first time in months. She thought about Julian's kindness, his sincerity, the way he looked at her like she mattered. Yes, she said. I am. Patricia hugged her right there in the middle of the path. Good. Because you're already part of this family, Tasha Brooks. We're keeping you. When Julian drove her home that evening, Tasha felt something shifting inside her chest. This had started as a lie, as a favor, as a practical arrangement. But sitting beside Julian, remembering the warmth of his family, the genuine affection in their eyes, she realized it was becoming something real. Your parents are wonderful, she said. They liked you, Julian said. Really liked you. My mom texted me already saying we're invited to Florida next month. Next month? You don't have to say yes, he said quickly. I know this is all moving fast. No, Tasha said. I want to say yes. To Florida, to more dinners, to all of it. Julian pulled the car over, turning to face her. Really? Really? You're right, Julian. This could be something good. Something real. I want to find out. This time when he leaned in, she met him halfway. The kiss was soft and sweet, full of promise and possibility. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. Best first date ever, Julian said. We had 2 first dates, Tasha pointed out. Then best second date ever. She laughed, and he drove her the rest of the way home, holding her hand across the center console the entire time. Monday morning felt different. Tasha walked into Cross Industries with a lightness she hadn't felt in months. Tyler had started his new treatment protocol over the weekend, and the doctors were already seeing positive responses. Her mother had called crying tears of joy, thanking God and asking repeatedly who this mysterious benefactor was. Tasha had finally told her the truth, or at least part of it. That she was dating her former boss, that he was a good man who wanted to help, that this was real and she was happy. Baby, you be careful, Gloria had said. Rich men can be complicated. So can poor ones, Tasha had replied. I'm going into this with my eyes open, Mama. I promise. Beverly was waiting at Tasha's desk with another garment bag and a small gift box. He's incorrigible, Beverly said with a smile. But sweet. The dress is for Wednesday's charity gala. The box is just because. Tasha opened the box to find a delicate silver bracelet with a small charm in the shape of a book. The note read, because you mentioned loving to read. Wear it if you want to. She put it on immediately. That evening, Julian called her at home. How was your day? Good. I got a bracelet from a very thoughtful person. Oh, anyone I know? She smiled. Maybe. He's this handsome CEO type, a bit presumptuous about buying gifts, but his heart's in the right place. Sounds like a good guy. He is. There was comfortable silence on the line. Then Julian said, Tasha, about Wednesday. The gala is a big event. Lots of press, lots of people. If you're not comfortable with that, we can skip it. What's the gala for? Children's Hospital fundraiser. My mother is on the board. Then I want to go, Tasha said firmly. If it helps kids, I'm there. You're amazing, you know that? I'm learning, she said softly. Wednesday arrived with a flurry of activity. Beverly had arranged for a stylist to come to Tasha's apartment, which felt absurd and wonderful at the same time. The woman, Celine, brought the dress, shoes, and accessories, and spent 2 hours making Tasha look like she belonged in Julian's world. The dress was stunning, a deep red gown that flowed like water. Celine styled her hair in an elegant updo and kept the makeup classic and sophisticated. When Julian arrived to pick her up, his reaction made every minute of preparation worth it. Tasha, he breathed, you're going to be the most beautiful woman there. You look pretty good yourself, she said, taking in his perfectly tailored tuxedo. The gala was held at the Plaza Hotel, and it was exactly as overwhelming as Tasha had imagined. Photographers lined the entrance, and cameras flashed as they walked in together, Julian's hand steady on the small of her back. Just smile, he whispered. You're doing great. Inside, the ballroom was transformed into a winter wonderland despite it being April. Ice sculptures, white flowers, crystal chandeliers. Hundreds of people in designer gowns and tuxedos mingled with champagne glasses. Patricia spotted them immediately and rushed over. You both look wonderful. Tasha, that dress is perfection. Thank you, Patricia. Please call me Trisha. All my friends do, and you're definitely a friend. She linked her arm through Tasha's. Come, let me introduce you around before the dinner starts. The next hour was a whirlwind of names and faces. Business executives, philanthropists, socialites. Everyone was kind, but Tasha could feel some people sizing her up, wondering who she was and where she'd come from. One woman in particular, an elegant older lady named Catherine Sterling, studied Tasha with sharp eyes. So you're Julian's new girlfriend, Catherine said. It wasn't quite a question. I am. How refreshing. The last girl he brought to one of these was some vapid model who spent the entire night on her phone. You actually seem interested in the cause. I am, Tasha said. My brother is currently in treatment for leukemia. I understand how important these fundraisers are. Catherine's expression softened immediately. Then you're exactly what that boy needs. Someone with substance. I'll be watching you too. If you pass my test, I'll introduce you to the real power players at the next event. After Catherine walked away, Julian appeared at Tasha's elbow. What did Catherine Sterling want? To test me, apparently. She's the toughest social critic in this entire crowd. If she likes you, everyone will like you. No pressure then, Tasha said with a nervous laugh. Julian took her hand. You don't need her approval or anyone else's. You're here because I want you here, because you're important to me. I appreciate that. But also, she already likes you. I saw her face when she walked away. Welcome to high society, Tasha Brooks. Dinner was a 5-course meal with speeches between each course. Patricia gave a moving talk about the children the hospital had helped, showing photos and sharing stories. By the end, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. We've raised $2.3 million tonight, Patricia announced to thunderous applause. But we need $3 million to complete the new pediatric cancer wing. Who will help us reach our goal? Hands went up around the room. Pledges were called out. 50,000. 100,000. 200,000. Julian stood up. Cross Industries pledges $500,000. The room erupted in applause. Patricia beamed at her son. Tasha squeezed his hand. That's wonderful. It's necessary, he said simply. Kids like Tyler need places like this. After dinner there was dancing. Julian led her onto the floor, pulling her close as a string quartet played a waltz. I don't really know how to waltz, Tasha admitted. Just follow me, Julian said. I've got you. And he did. He guided her through the steps, keeping her steady when she stumbled, smiling when she laughed at her own mistakes. Other couples swirled around them, but Tasha only saw Julian. Thank you, she said. For what? For bringing me into your world. For Tyler. For everything. Thank you for letting me, Julian said. For taking a chance on something that started in the strangest way possible. It did start strange, didn't it? The best things usually do. Later, as they were leaving, Catherine Sterling stopped them at the door. Young man, you hold on to this one, she said to Julian. She's got a good heart. I can always tell. I plan to, Julian said, smiling at Tasha. In the car on the way home, Tasha kicked off her heels and sighed in relief. Feet hurt? Julian asked. Absolutely. But it was worth it. Tonight was magical. It was, he agreed. You fit right in, you know. No one would ever guess this was your first big society event. I had a good teacher, she said, touching the bracelet he'd given her. And a good reason to be there. Julian pulled up to her building but didn't immediately let her out. Tasha, I know we agreed to take this slow, to let it develop naturally. But I need you to know something. What? This isn't just convenient for me. It's not just about making my parents happy or having someone to bring to events. You're becoming really important to me. The more time I spend with you, the more I'm certain this was meant to happen. Her heart raced. I feel the same way. Yeah. This scared me at first, but it doesn't anymore. Or at least not as much. I'm starting to believe this could really work. Julian reached over and took her hand. Come to Florida with us next month. Meet my grandmother, see where I grew up. Let me show you more of my world. I'd love that. Really? Really? Julian, I'm all in. No more holding back, no more questioning. Let's see where this goes. He kissed her then, soft and lingering, full of promise. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were smiling. I'll walk you up, he said. At her door, Tasha turned to him. Want to come in for coffee? Are you sure? I'm sure. It's just coffee. And maybe some of my terrible attempt at cookies. I made them yesterday. I love terrible cookies, Julian said. Her apartment was small compared to his penthouse, but it was home. Photos covered the walls. Her father, Tyler, her mother, friends. A bookshelf overflowed with paperbacks. The furniture was second-hand but comfortable. It's perfect, Julian said, looking around. It's so you. They sat on her couch with coffee and cookies that were indeed slightly burnt. Julian ate 3 anyway, claiming they were delicious. You're a terrible liar, Tasha laughed. I'm really not. These are genuinely not that bad. They talked until midnight about everything and nothing. About Julian's favorite books and Tasha's dream of maybe writing one someday. About travel and places they wanted to see. About Tyler and Julian's younger cousin who'd also fought cancer and won. It's going to be okay, Julian said when Tasha's voice caught talking about her brother. Tyler's strong and he's got the best care now. Thanks to you. Thanks to us, he corrected. This is a team effort now. When he finally left, it was with another kiss at the door and a promise to see her tomorrow. Tasha changed into her pajamas and climbed into bed, touching the bracelet still on her wrist. Her phone buzzed with a text from Julian. Best night ever. Sleep well, beautiful. She texted back. You too. And Julian? I'm really glad you opened that door. Me too. Me too. As Tasha drifted off to sleep, she thought about how much her life had changed in just 2 weeks. She'd gone from exhausted and scared to hopeful and happy. From alone to part of something bigger. She thought about Catherine Sterling's words, she's got a good heart. And she thought about Julian's, this was meant to happen. Maybe it was. Maybe sometimes life surprised you in the best possible way. Maybe kindness and hope and love really did lead to something beautiful. She was starting to believe it could. The next few weeks fell into a comfortable rhythm. Julian and Tasha saw each other almost every day, sometimes for dinner, sometimes just for coffee during her lunch break. He integrated seamlessly into her life, meeting her mother and visiting Tyler in the hospital. Tyler adored him immediately. So you're the miracle worker, Tyler said from his hospital bed, grinning despite the 4 in his arm. He looked better already, color returning to his brown skin, his eyes brighter than they'd been in months. I'm just a guy who knows your sister is special, Julian said, shaking Tyler's hand. She is special. And you better treat her right or I'm coming for you when I get out of here. Tyler, Tasha protested, but she was smiling. I mean it, Tyler said, looking at Julian seriously. My sister has spent the last 8 months killing herself to take care of me and Mom. She deserves someone who sees how amazing she is. I do see it, Julian said quietly. Every day. Tyler studied him for a moment, then nodded. Okay. You can stay. Gloria came in with coffee for everyone and stopped short seeing Julian. Oh my goodness, you must be Julian. Baby, you didn't tell me he was coming today. Surprise visit, Tasha said, hugging her mother. Julian, this is my mom, Gloria Brooks. Mrs. Brooks, it's wonderful to finally meet you, Julian said, standing to greet her. Gloria looked him up and down, then pulled him into a hug. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for helping my boy. It's my honor, Julian said, and Tasha could tell he meant it. They spent the afternoon in Tyler's room, playing card games and talking. Julian told stories about business disasters that had him laughing at himself, and Tyler shared stories about Tasha as a kid that made her blush. She once tried to sell friendship bracelets door to door, Tyler said. Made a whole business plan and everything. She was 9. That's adorable, Julian said, grinning at Tasha. It was entrepreneurial, Tasha corrected. You made $12 and donated it all to the animal shelter, Gloria added. See? Philanthropic too. Julian reached over and took her hand. You've always been someone who cares about others. Later, as they left the hospital, Gloria pulled Tasha aside. I like him, baby. He's got kind eyes. He's got a kind everything, Tasha said. Then hold on to him. Good men are rare. That weekend, Julian invited Tasha to his place to meet his friends. She was nervous, worried they'd be judgmental or snobbish, but they turned out to be warm and welcoming. Nathan Rodriguez, Julian's best friend from college, was a lawyer with a quick wit and an easy laugh. His girlfriend, Sophie Kim, was a doctor who immediately started talking with Tasha about Tyler's treatment protocol. The new immunotherapy they're using is cutting edge, Sophie said excitedly. I've seen amazing results in my patients. Really? Tasha asked, hope blooming in her chest. Really? Your brother is in excellent hands. Julian's other close friends, Hassan Ahmed and Christina Flores, were a married couple who ran a tech startup together. They were funny and down to earth, making jokes at Julian's expense that had everyone laughing. Finally, Christina said, hugging Tasha. Someone with sense. The last woman he dated thought startup meant a coffee maker. That's not fair, Julian protested. She was terrible, Nathan finished. She was terrible, man. Tasha is a massive upgrade. Thanks, Tasha said, laughing. Over dinner, cooked by Julian, who turned out to be an excellent chef, the conversation flowed easily. They talked about everything. Politics, books, movies, terrible first jobs, embarrassing moments. Julian once gave a presentation to the board with his fly down, Hassan said. I did not, Julian said, but he was grinning. You did. Nathan and I were dying in the back of the room trying not to laugh. Why didn't you tell me? Julian asked. Because watching you be confidently wrong was too entertaining, Nathan said. Tasha fit right in with the group, and by the end of the night, Christina was already planning a girls' day with her and Sophie. We're keeping you, Christina declared. You're officially part of the crew now. After everyone left, Julian and Tasha cleaned up the kitchen together. Your friends are great, Tasha said, drying dishes while he washed. They like you a lot. Nathan texted me while you were in the bathroom. He said, and I quote, marry her immediately. Tasha laughed. That's a bit premature. Is it? Julian asked, and there was something serious in his tone that made her look at him. Julian? I'm not proposing, he said quickly. I just mean, I can see a future here, Tasha. With you. Is that crazy? No, she said softly. It's not crazy. I can see it too. He set down the dish he was washing and turned to her. I want you to know something. When this started, it was impulsive and strange. But now, every day I spend with you, I'm more certain. You're it for me. We've only been dating a few weeks. I know. And I'm not rushing you. I just wanted you to know where my head is, where my heart is. Tasha set down the towel and moved closer to him. My heart is in the same place. This is real for me too. They kissed and it felt like a promise. The next day, Julian surprised her at work with lunch, just sandwiches from a deli, but it was thoughtful and sweet. They ate in a conference room, and he told her about his morning meeting disaster where his presentation slides were accidentally replaced with photos from his family vacation. How does that even happen? Tasha asked, laughing. Technology hates me, Julian said. The board got to see about 15 photos of me attempting to surf. It was humiliating. I would pay good money to see those photos. Never, he said firmly, but he was smiling. Her phone rang. The hospital. Her heart immediately dropped. Hello, she answered, her voice tight. Miss Brooks, this is Dr. Patel. I have excellent news. Tyler's latest tests show the cancer is responding even better than expected. We're very optimistic. Relief flooded through her so powerfully she felt dizzy. Really? Really? He's doing wonderfully. At this rate, he may be able to go home next month if he continues to improve. After she hung up, she was crying. Julian was at her side immediately. What's wrong? Nothing, she said, laughing through tears. Nothing's wrong. Tyler's getting better. Really better. Julian pulled her into his arms and she felt him shake with relief too. That's wonderful, he whispered. That's the best news. They stayed like that for a long moment, holding each other, grateful. That evening, Julian took her to the community center where she'd been volunteering for years. The place was run down but full of life, kids playing basketball and doing homework at old tables. This is where I spend my Saturday mornings, Tasha explained. Tutoring kids and helping with activities. Can I help? Julian asked. You want to volunteer? If they'll have me. The director, a wonderful woman named Carol Jenkins, was thrilled to have another volunteer. Within an hour, Julian was helping a group of boys with their math homework, explaining fractions in a way that finally made sense to them. Tasha watched him, her heart full. This man, this billionaire CEO, was sitting at a beat-up table in a community center, patiently helping a 10-year-old understand multiplication. He didn't have to be here. He could be anywhere. But he chose this because it mattered to her. Your boyfriend is good people, Carol said, coming to stand beside Tasha. He really is. And the way he looks at you? That's the real deal, honey. After the tutoring session, they walked through her neighborhood. Tasha showed him the bodega where she bought her coffee every morning, the park where she and Tyler used to play, the library where she'd spent countless hours as a kid. This is my world, she said. It's not fancy, but it's home. It's wonderful, Julian said. And it explains so much about who you are. What do you mean? You're grounded. Real. You haven't forgotten where you came from or what matters. They stopped at a street vendor and bought pretzels, eating them while sitting on a park bench watching kids play. Can I tell you something? Julian asked. Always. I was worried when I started Cross Industries that I'd turn into one of those CEOs who loses touch with real life. That I'd become so focused on profit and success that I'd forget why any of it matters. But you didn't. No, but I came close. I was working 80-hour weeks, living in boardrooms and high rises. And then I met you and you reminded me what's important. People. Kindness. Making a real difference. You were always that person, Julian. I just helped you remember. You did more than that, he said, taking her hand. You made me want to be better. You make me want to be better too. Braver. More willing to take chances. Like taking a chance on a guy who lied to his parents about having a girlfriend? Exactly like that, she said, laughing. That night, Julian dropped her off at home, and they stood outside her building for a long time, just talking under the streetlights. I have to go to Boston next week for meetings, Julian said. Come with me. We'll make a long weekend of it. I can't take that much time off work. You have vacation days. Use them, please. I don't want to be away from you for 4 days. Tasha thought about it. She'd been at Cross Industries for 2 years and had barely used any vacation time. And the idea of exploring Boston with Julian was too appealing to resist. Okay, she said. Yes. Really? Really? Let's go to Boston. Julian's face lit up. I'm going to show you the best time. We'll go to the Freedom Trail, eat at this incredible seafood place I know, visit Harvard. You're adorable when you're excited. I'm excited about you, he said. About us. About everything. He kissed her goodnight and Tasha went upstairs feeling like she was floating. Her phone buzzed with a text from Gloria. Tyler's doctor called me. I can't believe it. Our prayers are being answered. Tasha texted back. All of them, Mama. All of them. Another text, this time from Julian. Already counting down the days until Boston. She replied, me too. As she got ready for bed, Tasha thought about how completely her life had transformed. A month ago, she'd been drowning in fear and debt, working herself to exhaustion, terrified of losing Tyler. Now Tyler was getting better, her mother was smiling again, and she was falling in love with a man who saw her, really saw her, and chose her anyway. Kindness and hope and love had led her here. And she was so grateful she'd been brave enough to follow. The Boston trip was everything Julian had promised and more. They stayed at a beautiful hotel overlooking the harbor, and Julian made good on his promise to show her the city. They walked the Freedom Trail, ate fresh lobster rolls at a waterfront restaurant, and spent an afternoon browsing bookstores in Cambridge. I could get used to this, Tasha said as they sat in a cozy cafe near Harvard Square, sharing a piece of chocolate cake. Traveling with me or eating cake? Both. Julian smiled. There's a lot of world to see. Paris, London, Tokyo. I want to show you all of it. That's a big promise. I'm good for it, he said, reaching across the table to take her hand. That evening they had dinner at a restaurant overlooking the water. The sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, and Tasha felt like she was in a dream. I have something for you, Julian said, pulling a small box from his jacket pocket. Julian, you've already bought me so much. This is different. Open it. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a pendant shaped like a star. Tyler mentioned you used to wish on stars together when you were kids, Julian explained. I thought you might like to carry that with you. Tasha's eyes filled with tears. How did you remember that? He mentioned it once in passing at the hospital. I remember everything you and your family tell me, Julian said softly. You're all important to me. She stood up and came around the table, kissing him right there in the restaurant. Other diners smiled and one older couple even applauded. I love it, she whispered. I love this, us. I love us too, Julian said, helping her put the necklace on. They spent the rest of the weekend exploring the city, taking photos, making memories. On Sunday morning they had breakfast in bed at the hotel, watching the boats in the harbor. I don't want this weekend to end, Tasha said. It doesn't have to. We go back to New York and we keep doing this. Building something together. You make it sound so simple. It is simple, Julian said. I care about you. You care about me. Everything else we figure out as we go. When they returned to New York, Patricia was waiting at Julian's penthouse. She'd extended her visit to spend more time with them. There you are, Patricia said, hugging them both. How was Boston? Perfect, Tasha said. Good. Because I've planned something for tomorrow. A spa day, just us girls. Oh, Patricia, I couldn't. Trisha, Patricia corrected. And yes, you could. I already made appointments. We're getting massages and facials and having lunch. It'll be fun. Tasha looked at Julian, who just smiled. Mom doesn't take no for an answer when she's decided something. You might as well agree now. The spa day was exactly as luxurious as Tasha had imagined. Patricia had booked a private suite at an exclusive day spa, and they spent hours being pampered. Over lunch in the spa's garden restaurant, Patricia brought up something Tasha had been wondering about. I know this all happened very quickly, Patricia said. Julian introducing you as his girlfriend out of nowhere. I want you to know I don't think less of him for it. You don't? No. Because I can see it's real. Whatever circumstances brought you together, what you have now is genuine. Am I right? You are, Tasha said honestly. It started strange, but it's become the most real thing in my life. Patricia squeezed her hand. That's all I needed to hear. Julian is my only child. All I've ever wanted is for him to be happy, to find someone who sees past the money and the name and just loves him for who he is. You do that. He's easy to love. He's stubborn and too serious and works too much, Patricia said, but she was smiling. But yes, he's easy to love. And you're good for him. You make him laugh. You make him want to be present instead of just working all the time. He's good for me too. He's helped my family so much. My brother is getting better because of him. That's my Julian. He has the biggest heart, even if he doesn't always show it. Patricia paused. Tasha, I'm going to say something that might seem premature, but I'm old enough not to care about propriety. You're going to be my daughter one day. I can feel it. Tasha's breath caught. Patricia? Trisha? I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm just saying when the time comes, you'll have our complete support and love. You're already family to Richard and me. That evening, Julian took Tasha sailing with his father. Richard had a sailboat docked at a marina, and they spent the golden hours of late afternoon on the water. This is beautiful, Tasha said, watching the city skyline from the harbor. Best place to think, Richard said, adjusting the sail. I come out here when I need to clear my head. Did you teach Julian to sail? I tried. He's more interested in the mechanics of the boat than the actual sailing, Richard said with a laugh. Always trying to optimize everything. That sounds like him. He's a good man, my son. Sometimes I worry he's too hard on himself, too focused on being perfect. But since he met you, I've seen him relax. That's a gift, Tasha. Being with him is a gift to me too. Richard smiled. Trisha told me she already claimed you as a daughter. I hope that doesn't scare you off. It doesn't. Your family has been so welcoming. I never expected that. Why wouldn't we be? You make our son happy. You're kind and smart and genuine. That's all we ever wanted for him. Julian, who'd been below deck checking something, came back up and wrapped his arms around Tasha from behind. Having a good time? He asked. The best, she said, leaning back against him. They watched the sunset from the water, and Tasha felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. This family, these people had welcomed her completely. The next day, Gloria called with more good news. Tyler's coming home next week. The doctors cleared him for outpatient treatment. Tasha screamed with joy right there in her office. Her co-workers looked over in concern, but she just waved them off, tears streaming down her face. She immediately called Julian. Tyler's coming home. That's wonderful. We should celebrate. Dinner tonight, your mom and Tyler when he's released, all of us. You don't have to do that. I want to. Tasha, your family is my family now. We celebrate together. That night, they went to Tasha's favorite neighborhood restaurant. Nothing fancy, just good food and warm atmosphere. Julian fit right in, helping Gloria with her coat, asking Tyler about what he was most excited to do when he got home. First thing, Tyler said, I'm going to eat real food. Hospital food is terrible. Amen, Gloria said, laughing. Second, I'm going to play basketball again. Even if it's just shooting hoops in the park. I'll play with you, Julian offered. Tyler looked at him skeptically. You play basketball? I'm decent. Played in college. Okay then. You're on. Fair warning though, I'm going to destroy you. I look forward to it, Julian said, grinning. Watching them, Tasha felt her heart swell. This man who could be anywhere doing anything was here with her family, making her brother laugh, making her mother smile. He'd seamlessly become part of their lives. After dinner, as they walked Gloria to her car, she pulled Tasha aside. Baby, I need to tell you something. What, Mama? I was worried when you first told me about Julian. Worried it was too fast, too much, too complicated. But watching him tonight, seeing how he is with you and Tyler, I'm not worried anymore. That man loves you. And you love him. I do, Tasha admitted. I really do. Then hold on tight and don't let fear get in the way. Sometimes the best things come when we least expect them. That night, lying in Julian's arms at his penthouse, Tasha thought about her mother's words. This had come so unexpectedly, this love, this life. But she was learning to trust it, to believe she deserved it. What are you thinking about? Julian asked, running his fingers through her hair. How lucky I am. I'm the lucky one. We're both lucky, she said, tilting her head up to kiss him. Agreed. They fell asleep like that, wrapped up in each other, both grateful for the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. The week Tyler came home, Julian was there to help move him back into Gloria's apartment. He carried boxes, helped set up Tyler's room with new furniture he'd insisted on buying, and made sure everything Tyler needed was easily accessible. You didn't have to do all this, Gloria said, looking at the new bed, the comfortable chair, the small TV. I wanted to. Tyler deserves to come home to comfort. Tyler, still weak but smiling, hugged Julian. Thanks, man. For everything. Anytime, brother. That word, brother, made Tasha's eyes fill with tears. Julian wasn't just dating her. He was becoming part of her family in every way that mattered. That evening, Patricia and Richard invited everyone to dinner at a nice restaurant, their treat. The three families, the Crosses and the Brooks, sat together like they'd known each other for years. Patricia and Gloria discovered they both loved gardening. Richard and Tyler talked about basketball and old movies. And Julian and Tasha just watched, amazed at how perfectly their worlds had merged. This is what it's supposed to be like, isn't it? Tasha whispered to Julian. What? Love. Family. All of it. Is supposed to feel like this. Easy and right. Yes, Julian said, kissing her temple. Exactly like this. Everything seemed perfect until it wasn't. The trouble started with an email Julian received on a Monday morning. Harrison Technologies, their biggest client, was threatening to take their business elsewhere unless Julian focused more on the account and less on his personal life. They actually said that? Tasha asked when Julian told her over lunch. Not in those words, but the message was clear. Gerald Harrison saw photos of us at the charity gala and assumed I'm not taking business seriously anymore. That's ridiculous. It's business, Julian said with a sigh. He's old school. Thinks CEOs should be married to their work. What are you going to do? Fight for both. The account and us. I'm not giving up either one. But over the next week, the pressure mounted. Gerald Harrison demanded multiple meetings, all scheduled at times that conflicted with plans Julian had made with Tasha. Board members started questioning whether Julian's attention was divided. Tasha could see the stress wearing on him. He was working longer hours, sleeping less, and she missed him even though they talked every day. Maybe we should cool things down a bit, she suggested one evening when he finally made it to her apartment at 10 o'clock, exhausted. Just until you sort out the business stuff. No, Julian said firmly. That's not happening. You're not something I put on hold when things get hard. I don't want to be the reason you lose a major account. You're not the reason. Gerald Harrison's outdated views are the reason. And honestly, if he can't respect that I have a life outside of work, maybe we don't need his business. Julian, that's millions of dollars. And you're worth more than millions of dollars to me, he said, taking her hands. Tasha, we're not cooling down. We're not taking a break. We're figuring this out together. The next day, Tasha did something she'd been thinking about for a while. She'd been working on a new marketing proposal, something innovative that could potentially bring in even more business than the Harrison account. She presented it to the marketing director, who loved it and immediately sent it up the chain. By Friday, Tasha was presenting to the board. She'd never been so nervous. These were some of the most powerful business people in the city, and she was about to pitch them a completely new direction for Cross Industries' marketing strategy. Julian wasn't in the room, having recused himself to avoid any appearance of favoritism, but she knew he was waiting right outside. Miss Brooks, the board chairwoman, Elizabeth Morrison, said, "We understand you have a proposal for us." Tasha stood, straightened her red blazer, and began. She presented her idea for a comprehensive social media and community outreach campaign that would target younger demographics while maintaining the company's prestigious image. She showed mock-ups, data projections, and case studies from other companies who'd successfully made similar transitions. This would position Cross Industries not just as a powerful investment firm, but as a company that cares about the future, about communities, about people, Tasha concluded. And I believe it could bring in clients that align with those values. The room was silent for a moment. Then Elizabeth Morrison smiled. "Miss Brooks, this is excellent work. Truly innovative. Thank you. How long would implementation take? With the right team, we could launch the pilot program in 6 weeks." The board members looked at each other, then Elizabeth spoke again. "We'd like to green light this immediately. And we'd like you to head the project." Tasha's heart raced. "Me? You clearly have the vision and the passion. This is your baby. You should see it through." When Tasha left the boardroom, Julian was indeed waiting. He pulled her into a hug immediately. "How did it go?" "They approved it. And they want me to lead it." "That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. This could be big, Julian. Really big." "It will be big," he said with confidence. "Because you're brilliant." Over the next few weeks, Tasha threw herself into the project. She assembled a team, refined the strategy, and began reaching out to potential partners. Julian supported her every step of the way, offering advice when she asked for it but mostly just being there to listen when she needed to talk through problems. The campaign launched in mid-May to immediate success. Engagement was through the roof, and new clients were reaching out within days. "You did it," Julian said when the first week's numbers came in. "We did it," Tasha corrected. "Your support made this possible. No, this was all you. You saw an opportunity and seized it." At the same time, Julian was working on the Harrison Technologies issue. He scheduled a meeting with Gerald Harrison, and to everyone's surprise, he brought Tasha with him. "Mr. Harrison," Julian said as they sat down in the conference room, "I want to introduce you properly to Tasha Brooks. She's the head of our new marketing initiative, and she's my girlfriend." Gerald Harrison looked surprised but shook Tasha's hand. "Miss Brooks." "Mr. Harrison. It's nice to meet you." Julian continued, "You've expressed concerns about my focus being divided. I want to address that directly. My personal life doesn't detract from my professional life. If anything, it enhances it. Because now I'm working not just for success, but to build something meaningful with someone I care about. That's all well and good, but..." "Let me finish," Julian said politely but firmly. "Cross Industries has grown 30% under my leadership. We've expanded into new markets, increased profitability, and maintained our reputation for excellence. My relationship with Tasha hasn't changed any of that. In fact, she's the one who spearheaded the marketing campaign that's already bringing in new business." Gerald looked at Tasha. "Is that true?" "It is. The campaign launched 2 weeks ago, and we've already secured 3 new major clients." "Impressive," Gerald admitted. "Mr. Harrison," Julian said, "I value your business. I want to keep Harrison Technologies as a client. But I'm not going to sacrifice my personal life to do it. If you need a CEO who has nothing else going on, then I'm not your guy. But if you want a CEO who's focused, driven, and building a company that represents more than just profit, then I'm exactly who you need." The room was silent. Then Gerald Harrison smiled. "You've got guts, Cross. I respect that. And your girlfriend is clearly smart. Fine. You win. Harrison Technology stays with Cross Industries." After the meeting, in the elevator back to their office, Tasha turned to Julian. "I can't believe you brought me to that meeting." "Why not? You're my partner in every way that matters. Business included." "You really meant that, didn't you? About not sacrificing us." "Every word. Tasha, you make me better at everything. Work, life, all of it. I'm not giving that up for anything. She kissed him right there in the elevator, not caring that it was the middle of the workday. I love you, she said. The words came out before she could stop them. Julian's eyes widened. What? I love you, she repeated, more certain this time. I probably have for a while, but I wasn't ready to say it. But after everything these past few weeks, after watching you fight for us, I need you to know. I love you, Julian Cross. He pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. I love you too. God, I love you so much. They stayed like that until the elevator doors opened on their floor. Walking out hand in hand, both of them were smiling. That evening, they celebrated with dinner at the Italian place in Brooklyn where they'd had their first real date. Enzo greeted them warmly. My favorite couple returns, he said. Come, I make you something special. Over pasta and wine they talked about the future. I was thinking, Julian said. About Florida. My parents are heading back next week and my grandmother really wants to meet you. Would you come with me for a long weekend? I'd love to. Tyler's doing great and I have vacation days. Perfect. Fair warning though, my grandmother is going to love you, which means she'll start planning our wedding immediately. Our wedding? Tasha teased. I'm just telling you what to expect, Julian said, but he was smiling in a way that made her heart race. They walked along the waterfront after dinner, watching the city lights reflect on the water. Can I tell you something? Julian asked. Always. The day I opened that door and saw you standing there, I think some part of me knew that you were going to change everything. That's why I said it, that you were my girlfriend. Because I wanted it to be true. It is true now. It is, he agreed. And I'm going to spend every day making sure you never regret taking a chance on me. I could never regret this, Tasha said, touching the star necklace he'd given her in Boston. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me too. They kissed under the streetlights and Tasha felt like the luckiest person in the world. They'd faced their first real challenge as a couple, and they'd come through it stronger. Love really did lead the way. And she was learning to trust where it was taking them. The flight to Florida was smooth, but Tasha's nerves were anything but. Meeting Julian's grandmother felt like a bigger deal than meeting his parents had been. Patricia had mentioned that Eleanor Cross was the matriarch of the family, the woman everyone looked to for approval. You're going to be fine, Julian said, squeezing her hand as they landed. Grandmother Eleanor is tough, but she's fair. And she's going to love you. The Cross family home in Florida was stunning, a sprawling estate on the water with pristine white walls and large windows that let in the ocean breeze. Eleanor Cross stood on the front steps waiting for them, a tall, elegant woman in her 80s with silver hair and sharp blue eyes. Julian, she said warmly, pulling him into a hug. Then she turned those sharp eyes on Tasha. And you must be Tasha. Come here, child. Let me look at you. Tasha stepped forward and Eleanor took both her hands. Beautiful, Eleanor said. And I can tell you've got spine. Good. This family needs more women with spine. Thank you, Mrs. Cross. Call me Eleanor. Anyone who makes my grandson smile like this is family. The weekend was filled with family gatherings, beach walks, and long conversations. Eleanor told stories about building the family business with her late husband, about raising Richard, about the values she tried to instill. Money is easy to make if you're smart and ruthless, Eleanor said one afternoon as they sat on the terrace overlooking the ocean. But a good life, a meaningful life, that takes character. You have to know what matters. What matters to you? Tasha asked. Family. Integrity. Kindness. In that order. Eleanor looked at her. Julian tells me you've been working 2 jobs to help your brother. That you gave up your own dreams to make sure he could get treatment. Family comes first, Tasha said simply. Exactly right, Eleanor said, patting her hand. You understand what's important. That's rare, especially in our world. That evening there was a family dinner with all the relatives who lived nearby. Cousins, aunts, uncles. Everyone wanted to meet Julian's girlfriend. I know. But it feels right. This us, all of it. It feels right to me too, Julian said softly. I'm not saying we rush anything. But I want you to know when the time comes when we're both ready, I'm going to ask you to marry me. And I really hope you'll say yes. I really hope I will too, Tasha said, smiling. They stayed on the water until sunset, talking about the future. About where they might live, what kind of wedding they might want, how many kids they hope to have someday. This is crazy, Tasha said at one point. Planning a life with someone I wasn't even dating 3 months ago. The best kind of crazy, Julian said. Flying back to New York, Tasha wore Eleanor's ring and felt like she was wearing a promise. The doubt that Veronica had planted was gone, replaced by certainty. She belonged in Julian's world because she belonged in Julian's life. And that was all that mattered. Summer arrived in New York with warm days and longer evenings. Tyler was thriving, back to working part-time at a local community center and planning to start college in the fall. Gloria was happier than Tasha had seen her in years. And Tasha and Julian's relationship continued to deepen. They'd settled into a comfortable rhythm. Weekday dinners at one of their apartments, weekends split between his world and hers, regular visits with both families. They'd even adopted a dog together, a rescue golden retriever they named Charlie, who split time between both places. Julian had been acting strange for about a week. Not bad strange, just distracted. He'd disappear to take phone calls, had mysterious meetings marked on his calendar, and kept smiling to himself at random moments. "What's going on with you?" Tasha asked one evening as they cooked dinner together in his kitchen. "Nothing." "Why? You've been weird lately. Secret phone calls, mysterious errands." "I'm planning something," he admitted. "What kind of something?" "A surprise something. You'll find out soon." "I don't like surprises." "You'll like this one," he said, kissing her nose. What Tasha didn't know was that Julian had been planning a proposal for 3 weeks. He'd enlisted everyone: Patricia and Richard, Eleanor, Gloria, Tyler, even Tasha's friends from the community center. "I want it to be perfect," he told Patricia over the phone. "Somewhere meaningful to both of us." "The community center," Patricia had suggested. "Where you first volunteered together. That's where you really started understanding what matters to each other." It was perfect. Julian contacted Carol Jenkins, the director, and together they planned an evening event at the center. They told Tasha they were hosting an appreciation dinner for all the volunteers, which was true, but that wasn't all it was. The ring had been easier. Eleanor had given him the family engagement ring, a stunning diamond that had been passed down for 3 generations. "Your grandfather proposed with this ring," Eleanor said, handing him the velvet box. "And my father proposed to my mother with it. It's brought nothing but happiness. I know it will for you and Tasha too." "What if she says no?" Julian asked, voicing the fear that had been nagging him. "She won't," Eleanor said confidently. "That girl loves you with her whole heart. Anyone can see it." Tyler helped Julian plan what he'd say. They met for lunch, and Julian was nervous in a way he'd never been in business meetings with much higher stakes. "I want to tell her how much she means to me," Julian said. "How she changed my life." "Tell her that then," Tyler said. "But also tell her about the little things. How she makes you laugh, how she sees people, how she makes the world better just by being in it. Those are the things that matter. You're wise for 22. I learned from my sister. She's pretty much the best person I know." "Me too," Julian agreed. Gloria helped by making sure Tasha wore something nice to the volunteer appreciation dinner without making her suspicious. "It's a fancy dinner, baby," Gloria said when Tasha called to ask what to wear. "That nice blue dress you have would be perfect. You'll be there, right?" "Wouldn't miss it for the world." The day of the proposal, Julian was a nervous wreck. Nathan had to give him a pep talk at lunch. "You're Julian Cross. You've closed billion-dollar deals. You've given presentations to world leaders. You can propose to your girlfriend. What if I mess up? What if I forget what I want to say? Then you speak from your heart. That's all you need." That evening, Julian picked Tasha up at 6. She looked beautiful in her blue dress, the star necklace he'd given her in Boston gleaming at her throat. "You look stunning," he said. "Thank you. You look nervous. Are you okay?" "I'm perfect. Just excited for tonight." They arrived at the community center to find it transformed. String lights hung everywhere, creating a magical atmosphere. Tables were set up with white linens and soft music played in the background. All the volunteers were there, along with people Tasha didn't expect to see. "Is that your parents?" she asked Julian, spotting Patricia and Richard. "They wanted to come. They love this place." "And Eleanor?" "She wouldn't miss it." Inside, Gloria and Tyler were waiting. So were Denise and Monica, her best friends. Nathan and Sophie, Hassan and Christina. Carol Jenkins stood at the center podium. "Welcome everyone," Carol said as they all took their seats. "We're here tonight to celebrate our volunteers, the people who give their time and hearts to make this community better. But we have one volunteer in particular we want to honor." Tasha looked around confused. Then Carol said her name. "Tasha Brooks has been volunteering here for 5 years. She comes every Saturday without fail. She tutors our kids, organizes events, and brings so much love to this place. We wanted to recognize her dedication. Everyone applauded and Tasha stood, blushing. But as she looked around, she noticed something. The decorations weren't just festive. They were romantic. Rose petals lined the center aisle. Candles flickered on every table. Her heart started racing. Julian stood and took her hand. Tasha, I need to say something. Julian? Please. Let me do this. He led her to the center of the room and everyone gathered around. Charlie, their dog, trotted over with a small box tied to his collar. You planned all this? Tasha asked, tears already forming. I had help, Julian said, gesturing to everyone around them. Because that's what you've taught me. That life isn't about doing things alone. It's about community and family and love. He took the box from Charlie's collar and got down on one knee. The room went silent. Tasha Brooks, 3 months ago I told my parents you were my girlfriend. It was impulsive and crazy and the best lie I've ever told because it led to this truth. You are the most amazing person I've ever met. You're kind and strong and you make me want to be better every single day. Tears were streaming down Tasha's face now. You taught me that success isn't about money or power. It's about the lives you touch and the love you share. You saved me from a life of just working and existing. You showed me how to actually live. He opened the box, revealing the ring. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love someone. And I want to spend the rest of my life showing you that every single day. Will you marry me? Tasha was crying so hard she could barely see, but her answer was immediate and certain. Yes, she said. Yes, yes, yes. Julian stood and slipped the ring on her finger, then pulled her into a kiss. The room erupted in cheers and applause. Charlie barked excitedly, running circles around them. When they finally pulled apart, everyone rushed forward to hug them. Gloria was crying, Tyler was grinning, Patricia was beaming, and Eleanor nodded approvingly. That's how it's done, Eleanor said, hugging them both. Carol announced that dinner was served and everyone sat down to celebrate. The food was catered by Enzo from the Italian restaurant, because Julian had thought of everything. Tasha couldn't stop looking at her ring, at Julian, at all the people who'd come together to make this moment perfect. You really did all this? She asked Julian as they sat together, his arm around her. I wanted you to know how much you mean to me. How much you mean to all of us. I do. I really do. Speeches were made throughout dinner. Tyler talked about how Julian had saved his life and become a brother. Gloria thanked Julian for making her daughter so happy. Patricia welcomed Tasha officially into the family. And Nathan told an embarrassing story about Julian from college that had everyone laughing. When it was Tasha's turn to speak, she stood with Julian at her side. I don't even know what to say. 3 months ago I was exhausted and scared and alone. And then Julian opened a door and told a lie that became the truest thing in my life. He showed me that kindness and hope and love aren't just words. They're actions. They're choices we make every day to show up for each other. She looked at Julian. You showed up for me and my family when we needed it most. And you never stopped showing up. So yes, I'll marry you. I'll spend my whole life showing up for you too. They kissed again and everyone cheered. The rest of the evening was filled with joy and music and dancing. Julian and Tasha danced under the string lights while their families watched with happy tears. This is the happiest day of my life, Tasha whispered. Mine too, Julian said. Though I have a feeling there are a lot more happy days ahead. Definitely. As the night wound down, Julian pulled Tasha outside for a moment alone. The summer air was warm and the stars were bright above them. Thank you, Tasha said. For what? For taking a chance on a random woman who showed up at your door for a work dinner. Julian laughed. Best decision I ever made. Mine too. They stood there holding each other, engaged, in love, and surrounded by people who cared about them. It was perfect in every way. The weeks following the proposal were a whirlwind of celebration and planning. Patricia immediately went into wedding planning mode, though she was careful to include Tasha in every decision. I don't want to take over, Patricia said over coffee one morning at her favorite cafe. This is your wedding. I just want to help. I appreciate that. Honestly, I'm a little overwhelmed. I've never planned anything this big. Then let's break it down. First question, when? Tasha thought about it. Not too long. Maybe 6 months? I don't want a long engagement. December wedding, Patricia said, making notes. Winter Wonderland theme? Actually, Tasha said slowly. What about something more intimate? Not huge. Just the people who matter most. Patricia looked up and her smile was warm. I love that. Quality over quantity. They decided on a small ceremony at the community center where Julian had proposed. followed by a reception at a beautiful venue overlooking the harbor. Guest list was capped at 75 people. Only family and close friends. Julian let Tasha take the lead on planning but was involved in the important decisions. They tasted cakes together, chose flowers, and picked out invitations. "I can't believe we're actually doing this," Tasha said one evening as they lay on his couch, Charlie snoring at their feet. Wedding magazines were spread everywhere. "Having second thoughts?" "Not even a little." "Are you?" "Never," Julian said, kissing her. "Though I will say, I didn't realize how many decisions go into a wedding." "We could elope," Tasha suggested with a smile. "Don't tempt me. But our families would kill us." True. As summer turned to fall, life settled into a happy routine. Tasha was promoted to senior marketing director with a significant raise. Tyler started college healthy and thriving. Gloria retired from her job, finally able to rest thanks to a generous gift from Julian that she'd initially resisted but eventually accepted. "You've given me my son back," Gloria had told Julian. "How can I not accept?" Julian's business continued to flourish. The marketing campaign Tasha had designed was still bringing in new clients, and Cross Industries was expanding into new markets. "You should take some credit," Tasha told him one evening. "This growth is because of your leadership." "It's because of us," Julian corrected. "We're a team." One Saturday in October, Tasha organized a surprise for Julian. She'd been planning it for weeks with help from Nathan. "What am I doing?" Julian asked as Nathan drove him to an unfamiliar neighborhood in Brooklyn. "You'll see." They stopped in front of a modest brick building with a sign that read Cross Community Center. Julian stared. "What is this?" "Your wedding gift from me," Tasha said, appearing from inside the building. "Well, part of it." "I don't understand." "You know how you said you wanted to make a real difference? Help real people. I bought this building with my promotion bonus and some savings. It's going to be a new community center, but I need your help to make it everything it could be." Julian walked inside. The space was empty but full of potential. Large rooms for classes, a commercial kitchen, offices, space for after-school programs. "Tasha, this is incredible." "It's not just for me," she explained. "Carol from the original center is going to help run it. Your parents donated money for renovations. Tyler designed the youth program curriculum. And Nathan's firm is doing all the legal work pro bono." Julian pulled her into his arms. "This is the best gift anyone's ever given me. You showed me what's possible when you have resources and a good heart. I wanted to show you that together we can build something that really matters." They spent the rest of the day touring the space, making plans, dreaming about what it could become. By evening they had a vision. A place where families like Tasha's could get help when they needed it, where kids could get tutoring and activities, where the community could come together. "We'll call it Crossbrooks Community Center," Julian decided. "That sounds like an intersection." "We are an intersection," he said. "Where two lives crossed paths and made something better." As fall deepened, the wedding plans came together beautifully. Tasha found her dress, a simple white gown that made her feel like herself. Julian chose his tuxedo. Tyler agreed to walk Tasha down the aisle since their father couldn't. "Are you sure?" Tasha asked him. "It's a big responsibility." "Dad would want me to," Tyler said. "And honestly, so do I. You've taken care of me my whole life. Let me do this one thing for you." The week before the wedding, both families came together for the rehearsal dinner. It was held at the original community center, bringing everything full circle. Eleanor stood to give a toast, and the room went quiet. The matriarch of the Cross family commanded respect wherever she went. When Julian first told me about Tasha, he said she was someone special. Someone who understood what really mattered. I'll admit I was skeptical. My grandson could have anyone, so why this girl? Tasha felt Julian squeeze her hand under the table. "But then I met her," Eleanor continued. "And I understood. Tasha isn't just someone special. She's extraordinary. She's made my grandson remember his humanity. She's brought love and laughter back into his life. And most importantly, she's shown all of us what true character looks like." Eleanor raised her glass. "To Julian and Tasha. May your marriage be filled with the same love, kindness, and hope you've shown everyone around you." "To Julian and Tasha," everyone echoed. After dinner, Tasha found Eleanor on the center's small terrace. "Thank you for that toast," Tasha said. "It meant everything." "I meant every word, child. You're the best thing that's happened to this family in a long time. I'm the one who's blessed. Your family welcomed me completely." "That's what family does," Eleanor said simply. Then with a mischievous smile, "Though I do expect great-grandchildren within a few years. Just so you know. Tasha laughed. We'll work on that. The night before the wedding, as tradition dictated, Tasha and Julian stayed apart. Tasha had a sleepover with her bridesmaids, Monica, Denise, and Sophie. They painted nails, ate ice cream, and talked about love and life. I can't believe you're getting married tomorrow, Monica said. It feels like yesterday you were complaining about your scary boss. He's not scary anymore. No, he's just completely in love with you, Denise said. The way he looks at you is like something from a movie. It does feel like a movie sometimes, Tasha admitted. Like it's too good to be true. It's not too good. You deserve this, Sophie said firmly. You both do. Julian spent his night with Nathan, Hassan, and Tyler. They played cards and drank expensive whiskey. Nervous? Nathan asked. Terrified, Julian admitted. What if I mess up? What if I'm not a good husband? Tyler laughed. Dude, you've been an amazing boyfriend. You'll be an amazing husband. Just keep doing what you're doing. Which is? Showing up. Being present. Loving my sister with everything you have. I can do that. We know, Hassan said. That's why this is going to work. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and cold, perfect December weather. Tasha woke up in her old bedroom at her mother's apartment, sun streaming through the windows. Today she was getting married. The morning was a blur of makeup and hair, helping her bridesmaids get ready, fielding calls from Patricia about last-minute details. But through it all, Tasha felt calm. Certain. When she finally put on her dress and looked in the mirror, Gloria started crying. Baby, you're beautiful. Your daddy would be so proud. I wish he was here. He is here, Gloria said, touching Tasha's heart. Right here. And he's so happy for you. At the community center, everything was perfect. White flowers everywhere, candles glowing, string lights creating a magical atmosphere. The 75 guests were seated and soft music played. Julian stood at the front with the officiant, Nathan beside him as best man. He looked handsome and nervous and completely happy. When the music changed, signaling Tasha's entrance, everyone stood. Tyler offered his arm and together they walked down the aisle. Julian's face when he saw Tasha was everything. Pure love, pure joy, pure amazement. Tyler placed Tasha's hand in Julian's and whispered, "Take care of her." Always, Julian promised. The ceremony was beautiful. They'd written their own vows and there wasn't a dry eye in the room when they spoke them. Tasha, Julian began, his voice thick with emotion. 3 months ago you walked through my door and changed my life. You taught me what really matters. You showed me that success isn't measured in money but in love and kindness and the lives we touch. You made me want to be better. And I promise to spend every day of our lives together being the man you deserve. I love you with everything I am. Tasha's turn. She wiped tears from her cheeks before speaking. Julian, you saved my brother's life. But more than that, you saved mine. You showed me that good men exist, that love can be simple and pure and true. You took a chance on me when you didn't have to. You fought for us when things got hard. And you made me believe in happy endings. I promise to always be your partner, your friend, your love. I promise to show up for you the way you've shown up for me. I love you today and always. By the power vested in me, the officiant said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Julian pulled Tasha close and kissed her, and the room erupted in applause and cheers. They walked back down the aisle together, married, smiling so hard their faces hurt. The reception was perfect. Dinner was delicious, the speeches were heartfelt and funny, and the dancing went on for hours. Julian and Tasha's first dance was to a song they'd chosen together, one about finding home in another person. As they swayed together, everything else faded away. Hi wife, Julian whispered. Hi husband. Best day ever? Best day ever, Tasha agreed. Patricia and Richard danced next to them and Gloria danced with Tyler. Eleanor sat at the head table watching everyone with satisfaction. Later, as they cut the cake, Julian whispered to Tasha, ready for forever? So ready. They fed each other cake, neither one smashing it in the other's face like some couples did. Just gentle and sweet like their whole relationship. As the evening wound down, Julian and Tasha snuck outside for a moment alone. The winter air was cold but refreshing. We did it, Tasha said. We actually got married. Best decision ever. Even better than starting Cross Industries? Not even close, Julian said seriously. This is everything. They went back inside to say goodbye to their guests. Everyone hugged them, offered congratulations and shared in their joy. Tyler pulled Tasha aside before they left. I'm proud of you, sis. You found someone who deserves you. I love you, Tyler. I love you too. Now go enjoy your honeymoon. Julian had planned a surprise honeymoon to the Caribbean, 2 weeks of sun and relaxation. As they drove away from the reception, married, happy, and heading toward their future, Tasha looked at her wedding ring and smiled. This had all started with a lie told at a door. But it had become the most truthful, most beautiful thing in her life. Love had led her here. Kindness and hope had sustained her. And now, forever stretched ahead, full of possibility. What are you thinking? Julian asked. That I'm the luckiest person alive. Me too, he said, bringing her hand to his lips and kissing it. Where are we going first? Anywhere you want. The world is ours now. And it was. Together they could do anything, be anything, build anything. Because they had love and that was all they needed. 6 months into marriage, Tasha and Julian had settled into a beautiful life together. They'd bought a house, a beautiful brownstone in Brooklyn that was close enough to the community center for Tasha to walk there and spacious enough for the family they hoped to have someday. Charlie loved the house, especially the backyard where he could run and play. They'd also adopted a cat, a rescue named Muffin that Tyler had found and begged them to take. We're becoming a whole menagerie, Julian joked as he watched the cat chase Charlie around the living room. I love it, Tasha said, curled up beside him on the couch. The Crossbrooks Community Center had opened in April to tremendous success. Carol ran the daily operations, but Tasha was there every Saturday, and Julian came by whenever his schedule allowed. They offered after-school programs, job training for adults, family counseling, and medical assistance navigation. We've helped 43 families in the first 3 months, Carol reported at a board meeting. And the demand keeps growing. Then we grow with it, Julian said. He'd allocated significant company resources to the center, and Patricia had gotten several of her wealthy friends to donate as well. Tyler had completed his first year of college with excellent grades. He was studying social work, wanting to help others the way he'd been helped. I'm going to work at the center after I graduate, Tyler told them over Sunday dinner at their house. Gloria was there too, along with Julian's parents who were visiting again. We'd be honored to have you, Julian said. You've come so far, Gloria said, reaching over to squeeze Tyler's hand. I'm so proud of you, baby. Couldn't have done it without family, Tyler said, looking at Julian and Tasha. Work was going well for both of them. Julian had promoted Tasha to VP of Marketing, and she'd expanded the department significantly. Cross Industries was thriving, and Julian had started considering succession planning, wanting to eventually step back from daily operations to focus on philanthropy. I want to do more community work, he told Tasha one evening. Build more centers, help more families. The business basically runs itself now. That's a beautiful idea. You could do it with me. We could make it our life's work. I'd love that. In June, on their 6-month anniversary, Julian surprised Tasha with a trip to the hospital. But not for a sad reason. What are we doing here? Tasha asked as they walked through the familiar halls of the cancer center where Tyler had been treated. You'll see. They arrived at a conference room where several doctors and administrators were waiting. Dr. Patel, Tyler's oncologist, was there too. Mr. and Mrs. Cross, Dr. Patel said warmly. Thank you for coming. Julian gestured for Tasha to sit, then stood beside her. When Tyler was first diagnosed, Julian began, I learned how expensive cancer treatment is. How many families go into debt or can't afford care at all? It broke my heart. So I've been working with the hospital on something. He nodded to the administrator, who pulled up a presentation. Cross Industries and the Crossbrooks Foundation are establishing a fund to help families pay for cancer treatment, the administrator explained. It will cover costs that insurance doesn't, provide housing assistance for families who travel for treatment, and offer counseling services. Tasha's eyes filled with tears. Julian? We're starting with $5 million, Julian continued. But the goal is to raise $20 million over the next 3 years. We're calling it Tyler's Fund. You named it after my brother? He was the first person it helped, Julian said simply. It seems right. Dr. Patel added, we estimate this will help hundreds of families over the next few years. It's going to save lives, Tasha. After the meeting, as they walked to the car, Tasha couldn't stop crying. Hey, Julian said gently, pulling her close. Happy tears, I hope. The happiest. You're amazing, you know that. We're amazing. This is something we're doing together. Together, Tasha agreed. That summer they learned Tasha was pregnant. They'd been trying since the wedding, and the positive test result came on a sunny July morning. Tasha stared at the test, then at Julian, then back at the test. Is that Are we? Julian couldn't even finish the sentence. We're having a baby, Tasha said, laughing and crying at the same time. Julian picked her up and spun her around, both of them laughing. Charlie barked excitedly, sensing their joy. They told their families that weekend at Sunday dinner. Eleanor was visiting, making it perfect timing. We have an announcement, Julian said, standing with Tasha. You're expanding the community center, Patricia guessed. No, Tasha said, smiling. We're expanding our family. I'm pregnant. The room erupted. Gloria screamed with joy. Patricia started crying. Richard hugged Julian. Eleanor nodded with satisfaction. Finally, Eleanor said, I've been waiting. Tyler hugged Tasha carefully. I'm going to be an uncle. This is the best news ever. You're going to be the best uncle, Tasha assured him. The pregnancy was smooth and happy. Julian was attentive and excited, reading every book about babies he could find. He set up the nursery in their house, painting it a soft green and filling it with toys and books. We don't even know if it's a boy or girl yet, Tasha said, watching him organize stuffed animals. Doesn't matter. Either way, they're getting loved. They found out at the 20-week ultrasound that they were having a girl. A daughter, Julian said softly, staring at the screen. We're having a daughter. Are you disappointed? Are you kidding? I'm thrilled. Girls are going to rule the world anyway. Might as well raise one. They chose the name together, Eleanor Rose Cross. Eleanor for Julian's grandmother who'd welcomed Tasha so completely, and Rose for Tasha's late grandmother who she'd always wished had met Julian. Eleanor was born on a snowy February morning, 8 pounds of perfect. She had Julian's eyes and Tasha's smile, and the moment the nurse placed her in Tasha's arms, both parents were completely in love. She's perfect, Julian whispered, touching his daughter's tiny hand. She really is. Their families came to the hospital to meet her. Gloria held her granddaughter and cried. Patricia and Richard were besotted. Tyler took 1,000 photos. And Eleanor, the original Eleanor, held her namesake with tears streaming down her face. Welcome to the world, little one, Eleanor said softly. You're born into so much love. The first few months of parenthood were exhausting but wonderful. Julian took paternity leave from work, and they figured out their new normal together. Sleepless nights, endless diapers, and pure joy every time baby Eleanor smiled. We made a person, Tasha said one night as they watched their daughter sleep. We made the best person, Julian agreed. They brought Eleanor to the community center when she was 3 months old. Carol and all the volunteers were thrilled to meet her. This is the baby that's going to change the world, Carol said, holding Eleanor carefully. No pressure or anything, Julian joked. But looking at his daughter, at his wife, at the community they'd built together, he believed it. Eleanor would grow up seeing love in action, seeing her parents help others, learning that kindness and hope mattered. On their second wedding anniversary, Julian and Tasha left Eleanor with Gloria for the evening and went back to the Italian restaurant in Brooklyn where they'd had their first real date. Enzo greeted them warmly. My favorite couple returns. Where is the baby? With Grandma. We needed a date night. Ah yes, very important. I make you something special. Over pasta and wine they reflected on how far they'd come. 2 years ago I was standing at your door for a work dinner, Tasha said. And I was about to tell the biggest lie of my life that would turn into the biggest truth. Do you ever regret how we started? Never, Julian said firmly. Not for a second. That moment led to this, to you, to Eleanor, to everything we've built. I wouldn't change anything. Me neither. Though I do have a confession, Julian said with a smile. What? That night when I said you were my girlfriend. Part of me already believed it. Part of me wanted it to be true so badly that I just said it, hoping the universe would catch up. The universe definitely caught up. They toasted to their love, their daughter, their life together. What do you think the future holds? Tasha asked. More community centers. Maybe another baby in a few years. Watching Eleanor grow up. Growing old together. That sounds perfect. It does, doesn't it? Julian reached across the table to take her hand. Thank you, Tasha. For what? For taking a chance on me. For believing we could be something real. For building this life with me. Thank you for opening that door, Tasha said. For helping Tyler. For loving my family. For being exactly who you are. They left the restaurant hand in hand, walking along the waterfront where they'd walked so many times before. The city lights reflected on the water and the spring air was warm. I love you, Julian said. I love you too. Somewhere in Brooklyn, their daughter was probably sleeping peacefully in her grandmother's arms. The community center they'd built was helping another family right at that moment. Tyler was studying to help even more people. And two people who'd started with a lie had created a life full of truth, love, and hope. The dinner that changed everything had led them here. And here was exactly where they were meant to be. As we close this chapter of Tasha and Julian's story, think about the power of taking chances and letting kindness lead. Have you ever had a moment that seemed wrong at first but led to something beautiful? What would you do if someone offered you an unconventional opportunity that could change your life? Drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and please subscribe so you don't miss future stories about love, hope, and the courage to embrace unexpected paths. Your support means everything.